All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Down the Middle with Max and Los. We are back with actual Max. No Malby here anymore. Enjoyed it, but I really love my time with Max here instead. What's up, dude?
It's awesome to be back, man. I was listening to the episode, and I was like, this is it's weird listening to a show when you're not on the show. So I'm glad I'm back. Malby did a great job.
You know what's weird? I mean, I don't know if it's vain or not, but I listen to our episodes. It's like in the gym, and I like it.
It is strange, and it does sound really weird to say this because I
forget what we talk about.
That, and I did the Unicorn Perspective for over 2 years. I never listened to one of my episodes. I just never did it.
Yeah.
Unless I was like sharing and like it was just playing in the background as I was sharing it. But it's weird. I've opened up on Spotify or app podcast, and I've listened to like all of our episodes. It's really strange. I can't explain it. It's weird listening to us talk, but I feel like it's such a fun conversation that we have. And sometimes when we're in it and we're just talking, like, I don't even remember like what we said or talked about. So I'm listening back and I'm like, oh, that was
genuinely
cool.
Entertaining. Like I listen to us and I listen to group chat. Yeah. That's pretty much, and Joe Rogan, obviously, whatever. So where do you want to get started today?
There's a lot of cool stuff we can talk about today. I wanted to start with this because I know we've done a few longer episodes the last few weeks, and today will be a little bit shorter one. We had some technical difficulties and a sandwich break that happened in between getting the equipment we needed, so that was good. Did you? I'm drawing a complete blank on this. Okay, so in San Francisco, I don't know if you heard about this a few days ago.
No,
there was a restaurant there, and 3 SFPD officers came in to get lunch in uniform, and the owner came over and asked them to leave because she said that some of the employees felt uncomfortable because they had their service weapons with them. And so they asked them to leave. The cops left, and then it went viral, and now they've gotten like thousands of 1-star reviews on Yelp and Google and everything. And then the owners came out like a day later and said they basically reiterated like their stance that like we did this because we wanted to do it. And then they caved after like 48 hours. Then they came out again. They're like, we made a mistake. This was a learning experience. And it's wild to me. Like I'm fascinated by how different people think.
Right.
And that's why we do this show, because it's like getting different perspectives and talking from different angles. And it really does interest me. Like, to me, that is such a crazy thought, because there's literally never in the history of, to my knowledge, and somebody can watching maybe could fact check this, but to my knowledge, there's never been an instance in the United States of a on-duty police officer going to get lunch with other officers and pulling his gun out and just starting to shoot people.
Right.
I've never heard of that before. Now, if we want to talk about, hey, have some cops use excessive force? Have some cops done awful things on duty?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. But those have always started with some type of, they pulled a car over, or there was a foot chase.
They weren't getting
lunch. Or
lunch.
something happened. It never happens from them they're on a lunch break and decide that person over there looks fishy, I'm just going to shoot them. Yeah. It's never happened before. So to me, it's really interesting that there's people that think something and have this really strong belief, I'm afraid of this person, even though there's zero evidence to support your fear. And it's interesting. It's like, it's fascinating reading this story. And what's even more fascinating is it happened in San Francisco, which has just become a total hellscape. Yeah. Like, San Francisco ranks in the top 2% of the most dangerous crime-ridden cities in America. 98%. 98% of American cities are safer than San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it's ironically like the most expensive city to live in. It's like, if you like what I paid for my house in Orlando, I think would get you a closet in the back of an alleyway where a homeless guy's taking a dump in front of it. Like,
yes.
And so, it's crazy to me.
You know, it's crazy. I believe similar things are on the dangerous side is starting to happen to Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I am going to, I was listening to the group chat podcast, and there was just like a shooting in like Beverly Hills. It was like, what? Yeah. And I'm going there tomorrow because we have some meetings with like some management companies in like the entertainment space. And then the next day I'm going to San Diego for our boardroom events. And I've never been afraid to go to like West Hollywood. Like it's pretentious and veiny. Like I don't love it, but like I've never been like, dude, I don't know. Like I'm going with Roddy, and I was like, where are we staying? Why don't we stay in OC? He's like, that's an hour away, bro. I'm like, I know, but like, there's a lot of and I'm not like afraid of stuff, but I'm kind of low key scared. I'm like, dude, like I've heard terrible things happening right now over there. Dude, and then it's just, I feel like we are all living in different like countries,
Different worlds.
like fully.
Totally different worlds. And it's, America it's an interesting experiment
Right now.
right now, but it's becoming more noticeable now. But it's been an experiment since our inception of this idea of a country that consists almost exclusively of immigrants from all over the world living in the same place that have different religious views, different political views. Like that's what America was all about. It's like our founding fathers fled persecution. They fled, the ability to have free thought, free religion. Like they didn't want that. So they came here to be free. And, we now have 370 plus million people living in this country who are all very different.
Yeah.
And I believe up until now, we all we could disagree, but there was some moderate level of like respect, maybe not even the strong enough word, but like,
being on the same team.
You do you, I'm going to do me. We're Americans. Like, I really don't agree with what you're doing, but like, I'm not going to march the streets over it or try to attack you physically or assault you verbally online. Like, we're just going to be hands off.
Right.
And so when people compare us to other countries, like, well, this country does this country does this. It's like, they're not America. Like, it's China is, 1 billion plus people, but it's also a communist country where it's all homogenous. Everyone's basically the same. And if you're not the same, you get sent to camps like the Uyghur Muslims, right? India, same kind of thing. These governments are very different than America. And then you look at, European countries, it's, Denmark and Sweden, all these countries, people say, well, they do, socialism and stuff better. And they made it work. It's like, well, you're comparing a 10 million person country where every single person is, the exact same skin color, religion, believe the same thing to our country. They're not the same. It's like totally different. It's not apples to apples.
Right.
But I don't know what happens, man. Like I forget where I was the other day. I think I was out to dinner with Jeremy and some of our media buyers. We went out to dinner and we were talking. So like, where do you think we are like 100 years from now? Right. And I said, I think there's not a very small chance. I would say like even like a 10% chance that like the United States isn't 50 states anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
That at some point, Florida and Texas just says like, we have zero in common with California.
Right.
We don't believe anything they believe. There's zero connecting us. We don't believe the government should be doing the same things. We don't believe the government means the same things. We don't believe in the same founding principles. At that point, why be in the same country? It's, and each one of those states has enough people to basically be its own country.
Right.
And so I don't think it's, if you said to me 5-10 years ago, like that was a possibility, I would say that's absurd. That's crazy. It's a fictional, movie. That's a, John Carpenter movie in the future. Like, but today, I don't know. It's not that far-fetched.
I think the same, and then the rest of the people living in the metaverse, bro. Like, I mean, I can see people plugging in and out in 100 years, definitely. I mean, I think people are trying to escape. It's a weird world, man. Like, it is so divided. I mean, I don't know about the world really, because, like, I'm not actively in places, right? So I can't see the day-to-day in these places, but I travel a lot in the United States, and I can tell you that it is another planet in some places, and it's weird. Like, I've talked to so many people that go to Powerhouse or Founders or whatever, and they're like, yeah, dude, this is like my first time out in like 2 years. I'm like, what the fuck? I've taken 50 flights, and like, they're like, oh, we're not allowed. We can't do this. We can't, in Orange County, you have to have vax cards to go get food now. And New York just mandated officially that you have to be vaccinated to work. I know. I don't know if these people are thinking, listen, if you're in it or you're not in the vax, I don't care about that. I care about like you're killing small businesses. You're affecting people's, if your choice is not to get vaccinated, now you're fired and it's legal. Like, do you have to leave the state? Other people that hate it are going to leave the state. What does that do to you as a state? What does that do to like the economy over there? What does it do to the morale? What does it do to the separation? Like, there's so much more than just like, are you vaxxed or not? Like, these choices create, what does Ray Dalio call it? Like, it's an order of consequence.
Yep.
Right. And so everything creates another second in the order of consequences that are going to happen. And you don't understand where this is going to end up.
Well, I think for people that are listening too, like, because whenever you talk about vaccines now or COVID in general, I think everyone, as soon as they start hearing people talk about it, they automatically put you in two buckets.
Right.
It's either you're all in on this side, all in on this side.
Mm-hmm.
So for perspective, I got the vaccines. Larissa and me both got Moderna. We double vaxxed. And so as somebody that's gotten the vaccine and did everything I was supposed to do early on, quarantine, masks, all that stuff, I can understand now, especially now, why more people are saying no, or at least are just talking about it than before. Mainly because now what they're saying, and this is just insane to me. So they came out with the recommendations for boosters, a timeline of when you should get boosters. The recommendation for the J&J vaccine, 2 fucking months. 2 fucking months. So that they're saying that after 2 months,
you got to go get it again.
Get a booster. To me, that's fucking. If I had gotten the J&J vaccine, I would be livid.
Yeah,
I'd be. And listen, there's not a conspiracy theory thing. No tinfoil hat. The fact of the matter is that everything right now, monoclonal antibodies, vaccines, were all, up until recently, some of them on emergency use, right? There's not a ton of research. Sure, there's research into mRNA and the underlying technology, but most drugs that go into our bodies spend 10 plus years getting research and study, and there's a whole process, Trials, right? To make sure there's not long-term consequences of maybe in the first few months nothing happens, but does something happen 5 years on the road, 10 years on the road?
And oftentimes that does happen.
And it does happen. Every year there's thousands of drugs that the FDA pulls off the market, right? It's not like conspiracy. This really happens.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of people, me included, decided, we did the risk benefit. I have a little baby. Hey, I know there's potential risks of getting the vaccine, but at the time, what we were told was, if you do this, your life goes back to normal. That was point blank back then when I got it. I was told to everybody.
Right.
It's, you get the vaccine, you don't have to wear the masks, you don't have to do anything. Your life goes like normal. You're protected. This is a vaccine, right? Now what they're saying to everyone is, actually, they're way less effective than we told you. The Moderna is, I think, 6 months. So 6 months, which is still crazy. So I basically took a risk for 6 months of protection, and then I go back to the tank, right? Give me another injection. Another 6 months. Give me another injection.
Which starts to feel scary.
It starts to feel scary, and it all starts to feel like you were lied to. And this is, I think, the bigger part.
Because you're also profiting like crazy.
Yeah. So if you're, and again, like, it is a little. It's hard to take big pharma at their word here.
Right.
And what's wild to me, this goes back to just like pure hypocrisy on all sides. I think, and I'm going to talk about a few examples of hypocrisy here that just hit on both sides, so people know I'm kind of being down the middle here.
Right.
But like big pharma, right? Big pharma up until the last year and a half was hated by Democrats. Most people hate big pharma.
Right.
But like forever, the people on the left were they're charging, they're price gouging. These drugs should be free. They should be way cheaper. All this stuff, and now all of a sudden it's actually they're the best, and actually you need to get these boosters every 6 months. And actually, if you're Pfizer or Moderna, these companies now, half of your revenue is now coming from these vaccines.
Right.
They're printing money, and at the end of the day, like what I think should be happening, and Crystal and Sagar on Breaking Points are talking about this, and I agree with them on this. Like a lot of these drugs are taxpayer funded. The research, what goes into them, this mRNA technology, was funded by taxpayers. And now these companies are just raking in cash off of it while we're on boosters here. Africa, India, all these countries don't even have vaccines. So we have more than half the world still doesn't have access to vaccines. We're talking about the second round of boosters, third round of boosters, right? Like until we if the thesis is that the world needs to be vaccinated to stop mutations and stop the new variants and all that stuff, right? Then it should be, okay, you know what? Pfizer, Moderna, J&J, listen, you're private, you're big, companies, you're privately owned, right? Like, you can do whatever you want. You're a company, you're not a government agency. Make as much money as you want, but these drugs, you should have to give out, 2 billion doses a year.
Like Tom's 1 for 1.
Yeah. If you really cared about ending COVID, if that was really your goal, you should give the vaccines to Africa, right? That's where the Omicron variant came from, apparently, South Africa, because nobody's vaccinated there. So, like, everybody in America could get quadruple vaxxed, but apparently it won't fucking matter because the rest of the world's not. It's like climate change, right? Like, we can do everything we want here.
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant if China doesn't and India don't stop polluting. It's totally relevant, right? So it's to me, it's just like,
it's not a national problem.
It's this hypocrisy, though, of just like, people just, as soon as it's convenient to their motives, they change their standards and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They change their angle, and we're all capable. Our brain, the way it works, is we're going to find evidence for what we want to support. We're going to manipulate things to fit our worldview and our narrative, and it even goes to, like, I just want to talk about a few topics, but, like, again, just playing both sides here on the hypocrisy stuff. So what I also find fascinating on the right is them using a lot of people that are anti-vaxxers using the exact same language and arguments as people that are pro-choice for abortion. Right. So it's you're out there saying my body, my choice.
But
Don't put a experimental drug in my body. But at the same time, you're also going to Supreme Court and women that want to get an abortion saying my body, my choice.
Now you're saying
sued. It's actually not your body, not your choice. And so it's like, for me, it's
nothing is real.
Listen, and there's nuances in these things and stuff. But it's like taking a step back and looking at these from both sides, Republicans, Democrats. Like, this is why a lot of people don't trust your opinion anymore. This is why people don't want to have discussions with you or don't take your word, because it's like you say one thing, you do the other thing.
Right.
And as soon as people start seeing hypocrisy, they stop trusting you. They stop believing in you. They stop saying, oh, maybe that's a trustworthy figure. Nah, they say this, but they do this. They do that, then they say this.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating watching this, especially when it happens at the government level, especially when it's politicians and they do it all the fucking time.
It's extremely agenda-based or ignorance-based right now. Like, there's no focus on actual people and helping at all. And
right now it's fear. Right now if you're a lifer in government, if you're trying to push, big, bold, government spending packages and stuff, or you're in pharma and your biotech and your lobbyists and your people that are paying your super PAC, like Kristen Sinema and stuff, are all big pharma. You want to keep this going. You want the next 300 variants to come down the pipeline.
Right.
I was in Publix the other day, and Larissa and I, we were at the supermarket 2 days ago. And I was like, it's weird. Why is everyone's wearing masks again? I was like, it's out of nowhere. All of a sudden now, everyone's wearing masks again. And I literally, as I'm walking around, have an article pulled up, top of my Apple News, from a big research, the first kind of research coming out of South Africa saying, actually the initial data says this is less transmissible, this variant, and less dangerous.
And it's less dangerous.
And less severe.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there's going to be variants, and it's going to change. Every year there's a new flu. It doesn't mean that it's apocalyptic.
Right.
Every time these new variants, they're marketing it like this is the new doomsday variant.
Yeah, there's never been a sickness marketed better.
There's
never really been a sickness marketed.
No. It's as if there's a team of Madison Avenue that's, hey guys, we think there's a new variant coming out of Chile now. What should we call it? And how should we roll the headlines? And what should we say to scare the shit out of people and make them do whatever we want them to do?
Right.
I mean, at this point, and then we'll talk about rally, and if we close with 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But and this is me catching up for not being on last episode, right? Just letting things out, venting. My big thing, and I've been saying this for months now, is let people do what the fuck they want to do. Just at this point, there are a million options.
Follow Florida, man.
Yeah, it's at this point, there's the vaccines, there's boosters, there's monoclonal antibodies, there's the pill, which all the studies from the pill so far, basically, if you get COVID and take this, nobody's died yet, to the research that I've seen.
Yeah.
You can eat well, you can get rest, you can work out, you can take your vitamins, vitamin D. There are, and that's not even talking about all the other stuff and all the other words that I want to say, but like it's, there are treatments, there are therapies, there are all these things now. Why? I just don't understand why we're not just saying, this is here, we're not going to go zero COVID, there's no chance in it, so this is life. So just, if you want to be a hermit and you want to be terrified forever and you want to stay in your apartment and never leave again, cool. Amazon or Breeds, you're good. You can stay in there. Don't talk to me. Just stay locked in your house. Maybe you should cut your internet off because then you're just going to be tweeting and being crazy. But but other than that, like, go to work, live your lives, let your kids play with other kids. Like, we are doing long-term damage to a lot of people because of the constant wearing of masks, the constant fear-mongering. It is doing damage, and we're not going to see that damage for
a decade
right now. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, there are going to be lots and lots of issues.
Yeah, a lot of social issues. I know we only have a few minutes, but I wanted to talk about the quick app that you're starting to use. I just downloaded it right now. Rally. Talk a little bit about Rally.
Right, so cool.
You're more into it.
Yeah, so I downloaded it like a month. I've actually been on it for a while, but started like using it.
We talked about it where you could basically get access, and you can explain it better, but like Bored Ape Yacht Club, you can get fractional ownership of that one, right? We talked about, do you get all the benefits? You don't in this particular scenario, but you can continue.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's like basically it's a brilliant idea. This company essentially they acquire really expensive collectibles and they turn them into an investable asset,
which are now
fractional
an asset class nowadays. Yeah.
So you can go on there and you could see like they have, the original GoldenEye for N64, like perfect condition.
Yeah.
$30,000. You can buy shares for as little as $25. You can put $25 into GoldenEye, right? They had the original iPod, perfectly never opened condition. Some guy found it on a shelf a few years ago and then sold for like $40,000. Now it's like $54,000. I bought a like 25 shares of the U.S. The Declaration of Independence.
That's crazy.
And it actually, I invested in it like 3 weeks ago, and I got an email from them basically saying they got an offer for like 40% more. So like I've already made a 40% ROI on that investment, which is pretty. I didn't expect it. I was like, I just want to buy this shit because it's cool. I think I want to own part of these things. This is like my child. These are comic books. They're video games. You can buy cars, Rolexes, Birkin bags. But it's also cool from like an investment standpoint. There's they're doing a lot more stuff in cryptos. There's CryptoPunks, Bored Ape Yacht Clubs that you can buy.
I bet you they start doing fractional
$5,000
land ownership.
I bet you that's the next time they roll out is Sandbox and Decentraland and all that stuff on there. But yeah, it's a cool app. Definitely check it out.
Go check it out, guys.
I have no incentive, by the way. I'm not like affiliated theirs. I make no money.
We're just going to talk about things we like.
Cool.
And I mean, we like a lot of, things you have to join and you're probably have to spend money on. But that's it for today, guys. It's a little quick one. We will be back with a longer one next week. And also coming soon, probably 2022, we're talking and kind of ironing out all the things that we're going to do here. But we're going to have a blog, kind of like a media property that's going to really talk about a lot of things that are going on in the market, probably no politics, but more the market, business, marketing, different things like that, companies that are exiting, how to exit companies, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. We're going to keep you posted on all that. But if you guys want to say hello, please share the episode, like it, and subscribe on YouTube, any place you see this whole thing, Spotify, wherever you engage, share it with everybody because we have a lot of fun doing it. And the more people that can listen to this, I think they're going to like it a lot as well. Say hi to us at Los Hustle, at MaxFin on Instagram, and then we will see you on the next one, guys. Bye.
Later, guys.